I unexpectedly returned from a business trip and walked in on my wife involved with a couple, expecting my return in 2 days. My wife didn't know I would come early. I was shocked when I caught her engaging in an affair with the couple. After 8 years of marriage, I found out about my wife's infidelity involving 2 people, and I was at a loss. Hence, to gather my thoughts, I decided to leave the house for a while. At that moment, the only words I could utter were, "Get out of my house." When they left, I realized I couldn't do anything else but leave on my own. I went outside and began to walk aimlessly with no purpose or plan. It was chilly, and I decided to find a nearby coffee shop to warm up a bit. I spent a few hours pondering until I finally came up with some sort of plan. Thoughts swirled around in my head. I convinced myself that she would never do anything like that ever again. During my stay, the cafe gradually filled with a stream of people scurrying back and forth. When I got home, she finally came out of her room. After hours of waiting in the coffee shop, I entered the house, doubting what she wanted. When she saw me sitting on the couch, frozen like a statue, devastated as if hope had died in me, just looking up at her, I asked, "How long have you been with this couple? How long have you been cheating on me?" She remained silent. Eventually, she burst into tears. At that moment, my heart burst right before my eyes and the ground beneath my feet seemed to crumble. She realized that what had been was irrevocably gone. "So our marriage is over now," she said quietly. She revealed the truth she'd been hiding since she was a teenager, her bisexuality. This revelation was unexpected to me. I was unaware of my wife's attraction to both men and women. I asked why she hadn't talked about her sexual orientation until now. She confessed that she was afraid that if I knew about her bisexuality, I would not marry her. It's true. I wouldn't marry a woman with an attraction to both men and women. I realized that she could have cheated on me with any of the couple. These people were strangers to me. I didn't know any information about them. I questioned how she met them. She said in a Tinder I inquired, "What exactly is Tinder?" Her answer stumped me. "It's a dating app." I was taken aback. I expected a different answer. Perhaps something like they were coworkers or acquaintances. But they met through a dating app. She mentioned that a good portion of her friends are also active on this dating app. Accordingly, she sometimes shared explicit photos with them, though not often. The disclosure was painful. But at the same time, it made me realize what kind of person she really was, underneath the layer of falsity and deceit that hid her essence. As I sat and listened to her, I pondered her words and thought about how I could learn more. How we could learn more about this couple. However, it quickly dawned on me that I would just be wasting my time. And then the solution came to me. This retaliation aimed at ensuring that she would never repeat anything like that. At the same time, I saw an opportunity to warn others, both men and women, of the possible consequences of letting her into my life. Despite my intentions to file for divorce, I was going at the desire for revenge. Resentment at her betrayal and her failure to trust me fueled my anger. Finally, I told her, I can't go on living in this marriage. The next day, I left the house to consult with a lawyer. During my consultation with the attorney, he asked a number of questions. He asked about the children in our marriage, how she earns, and the reason for the decision to divorce. In response, I explained my intention to make things difficult for her. I explained that I planned to empty our bank accounts as she deserved it. After our conversation, the attorney said that this was doable but would require patience on my part. He elaborated on what would happen to her finances if she contemplated remarriage or tried to lead an independent life without any financial support, whether from me or any other source. The attorney also mentioned that due to our lack of children, divorce would be less complicated for me. I would also be exempt from paying child support, given that she is an orthopedic doctor, earns more than me, and would not need financial assistance. After leaving the attorney's office, I returned home. My wife stood in the kitchen and, looking at me inquisitively, asked me where I had gone. I told her I went to a lawyer to find out how I should proceed in the event of a divorce. She turned away and burst into tears. I didn't go over and comfort her. After a while, she turned to me with a sad expression on her face and said, "I deeply regret this." I'd remained silent, put my keys on the table, and went upstairs to our bedroom. Started packing as I felt the need to take a little break for a few days. We struck up a conversation discussing our marriage. She took the blame for the affair with another couple that started in January this year. By this point, I didn't care. I was somewhat emotionally detached, if I may say so. She began to beg me to give her another opportunity. She suggested marriage counseling. The cost in response, I declined marriage counseling. I told her that I didn't trust her anymore because she had hidden her sexual orientation from me and that she would cheat again. After that, she continued her entreaties again. And then an unusual event happened. My wife looked up at me and smiling said, "I'm willing to give you access to my phone, passwords, and anything else you need to regain trust." I looked down at her and replied, "We have no foundation of trust left to rebuild." She asked, "What steps should I take to make you forgive me? I still have feelings for you." At that moment, I realized that my love for her remained, though not to the same extent as before. The memory of her lying in our bed with two people still haunts me. Nevertheless, she persisted in pleading with me. I hope she's beginning to realize the enormity of her mistake. My feelings for her remain, though not enough to sustain this marriage. The next day, she comes to me, closes her eyes, and begs me to give her another opportunity, tears streaming down her cheeks. She confesses that she has spent a sleepless night in worry. I told her there's hardly anything that could have dissuaded me from getting a divorce. In response to my words, she suggested, "What if we try to test trust?" I asked in bewilderment, "What does that mean?" She explained, "I'm asking you to give me a chance to prove again that you can trust me. You'll be able to check my phone without any restrictions. I won't erase anything," she assured me. I replied, "I need time to think about that offer." Later, upon reflection, I said, "But I'm not promising that I'll agree to it." I reminded her of the deep resentment and loss of trust that she was unlikely to regain and that I didn't believe it was possible to regain. Her plea was sincere. "I beg you, think about it." Even though I still had feelings for her, I recognized that it wasn't enough to preserve the marital bond. She begged me again, her tears flowing. "Please give me another chance." She seemed desperate, as if she realized that I could use software to track and recover deleted messages. I said she made me miserable. "Can you think about it?" she asked. She got up from the couch and hugged me tightly. The hug was somewhat awkward given the topic of our conversation, but it felt good nonetheless. A few days later, I informed her that I agreed to this trust launch. After admitting that I was unfamiliar with the concept, I stipulated my terms. I will need her passwords and access to her phone. I clarified that my intentions did not include monitoring her phone on a daily basis and emphasized that this agreement would only last a month. I made it clear that this did not change my position on the divorce proceedings. They would proceed as planned. She responded with joyful exclamations, hoping that the marriage might not be over yet. I am now wondering why I agreed to this decision. She also shared with me that she deleted Tinder and informed the couple she was involved with that she no longer wanted to date them. I set conditions. If I get caught doing something questionable, or if she lies to me, our relationship is over. I made it clear that the responsibility for the outcome was entirely hers, whether or not the marriage could be saved. Since she cheated, she is the one who has to make things right, and only after I decide if we can move on. She was okay with it, although I'm still not sure it's going to work out. Still, her joy at having another chance is evident. While part of me was leaning toward this, another part of me insists that I should have continued with the divorce process. Maybe I wasn't ready to give up completely after 8 years of marriage, or I still loved her. I hope you won't be too critical of me. Sure, my decision may not be the best, but it's her responsibility now. Thank you for listening to the story to the end. And if you like it, please support us with a like as well as subscribe to our channel. Just write in the comments what you think about the story.